Thank you, Helen. Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Okay, we all just came back from the California Association of Realtors meetings and also from NAR in Washington, D.C. I wanted to remind you that Region 16, where our association is in, we are with Citrus Valley Association of Realtors and West San Gabriel Valley Association of Realtors, and that makes up Region 16 at CAR. At NAR, we are Region 13. Region 13 consists of the state of California, Hawaii, and Guam. So when we are in Washington, D.C., we are Region 13. When we're in California, when we go to CAR meetings, we are Region 16. So this morning, I'd like to bring up 3 speakers who will present to you what we have learned at the CAR and NAR meetings. The first speaker will be Susie Dunkel Soto. Susie belongs to a number of committees at CAR, and she's going to speak on 2 of the meetings that she attended. One of them is the Education Advisory or Educational Services Advisory. She'll speak a little bit about what the educational system or what we have in store for us, and also on the Realtor Risk Management Consumer Protection meeting that she attended. Our second presenter will be Kevin Kwan. Kevin will speak a little bit on YPN and the Danger Report, the DANGER report, and he will stress a little bit on the acronym. But most importantly, at CAR and NAR, those 2 meetings in the media meetings, we have legislative issues. And we will have Lee Lieberg, who is our CAR Director and Government Affairs Director. He will speak on the hot issues that we realtors are facing today. So without further ado, I'd like to bring up Susie Dunkel Soto.
Good morning, everybody. As Ian mentioned, I am on a few committees for CAR. One is an appointed position from our treasurer of CAR, and I'm sorry, is there a treasurer? Jeff? Yeah, our vice treasurer of CAR, Jeff McIntosh. So it's quite an honor, and it's a position I love holding because of how education is so near and dear to me here at West San Gabriel for our members. We went through a lot, some I can't talk about. What I can discuss, one item is the CAR scholarships. When you take classes, the certifications and designations, there is money there back for our members. So when you take classes, apply for scholarships that we have here at West San Gabriel for our members, but also CAR has scholarships back for you. They want you educated as much as I do. So we're all working with strong, knowledgeable realtors. So it's on CAR.org under education and scholarship. So please share there's money there for you if you've taken the classes, so please take advantage of that. We also spent time discussing some other classes that we can bring. One item we're working on is leadership, putting together courses on leadership to help our members as we grow. On risk management, I'm a member of the Risk Management Committee. Several things were discussed, but what took up the majority of the time was the changes in the Respatilla, the TRID, and big concern is we don't know what we don't know yet. So there's a big concern once we get it effective August 1st, the changes that will be taking place. First, the potential for disruption as lenders figure out what they will or will not require for the new 3-day waiting period, and the stringent changes coming out. So there are classes. Everyone, I think we're all getting blasted with emails. Take advantage of every class you can take to have some better understanding. It'll be a learning process for everybody involved. We saved the date. We have a class coming here to West San Gabriel on Tuesday, June 16th from 1 to 4. Juliana Tu from Viva Escrow and Joe Filippelli from Wells Fargo will be here speaking on that. We've had Juliana here for like a 20-minute meeting and a 1-hour lunch learn, but there's so much and so many questions, and we're bringing a lender in to try and, as they've been spending time learning more on it, hopefully we can all have a better understanding, be prepared for that. So please take advantage of the classes and learn as much as we can. Thank you. And I'd like to now introduce Kevin Plum.
Good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing? Great. It's good to be back here. Been gone for a little bit of time, but want to kind of just talk to you guys a little bit about what I experienced on my travels, both to Sacramento and to NAR over in Washington, D.C. First is probably the one thing that I'm most proud of is YPN. If you guys don't know what YPN is, it's Young Professional Network. It was established back in 2006, and the main goal behind it was basically to kind of connect the younger generation with the real estate industry. Back then, a lot of people didn't take this group very seriously or the network very seriously. Some were a little skeptical. Others were a little fearful. They were afraid maybe this might be the end of an era for one generation and the changing of the guard. So a lot of things were going on at that time. Today, just in California alone, we are 14,000 strong. So we have developed and grown dramatically over a short period of time. And a lot of people kind of come to our events now throughout the entire nation that we host to come and network, learn from some of the younger generation about techniques, tools, and technology that they use. And in return, we don't restrict in terms of age. Everybody is welcome to come, and some of these, what they call the OPNers, the Old People Network, they also do come to the events to learn from the younger generation, and we also learn from you guys as well too. So it's a great way to exchange information, ideas with both sides of the spectrum. So I do encourage, if you do hear about any events that come about, come and join, network, mix, exchange ideas with each other, because that's what this is all about. That's what this industry is. It's helping each other out and creating a stronger bond within the real estate industry. Lastly, what I want to talk about YPN is what we're very proud of is in California, next year our 2016 treasurer, Jared Martin, he is the first YPNer to come out of a local association to become our state, a part of the state leadership. So that's something that we are, as YPNers, very proud of having Jared Martin, the first YPNer, become part of state leadership in CAR. The other thing that I want to kind of briefly touch with you guys is this report that you guys can all get. It's about 166 pages. We have agents in here. Raise your hand. Agents, brokers, raise your hands. Everybody in here is a member of NAR, CAR, so this is going to impact you. DANGER stands for Definitive Analysis of Negative Game Changers Emerging in Real Estate. These are about the 50 most dangerous things that can affect our industry. Basically, this report comprises of interviews with 74 CEOs in the real estate industry. Almost 7,900 realtors were surveyed, over 850 hours of research, and over 6,000 of pages examined. So what is exactly in this report? So I'm going to kind of briefly go over this, and I urge everybody to read this. So impacts affecting agents. Commission spiraling downward. So what do we do with that? Agent teams threatening the survival of brokerages. IRS forcing the independent contractor. So we may no longer be independent contractors and may be employees. What happens to us then? Housing finance system failing, and possibly with technology, the agent being removed from the transaction. So what are we going to do if that happens? We might be out of a job. So in terms of brokers, so you brokers out there, brokers losing control of the data, brokers simply going broke because the margins are becoming too thin, sales tax threatening the industry. These are very important issues, so I want everybody to write this down. There's two ways you can get this report. The first one is you can go to realtor.org/danger report. And the second way is you can actually just go to dangerreport.com. So DANGERREPORT.com. I actually downloaded mine. I believe they were saying at NER you can go through realtor.org and they can mail you a copy if you don't want to print one out yourself. You can download it as a PDF, but it's something eye-opening. So I urge everybody to take a look at this, and then maybe we might have something at the association where we can do some type of discussion about this, because that's what NER basically really wants us to do. It was formed by the Strategic Thinking Committee, and they really wanted to reach out to see what is going to happen, or with all these changes in our industry over the past few years, what's going to happen carrying forward. So great information in here, things to kind of really look out after as well too. So that is all that I have. So just remember, yes.
What's the website again?
DangerReport.com. DANGERREPORT.com. All right. Thank you guys so much. Next, I will bring up our GAD, Lee Lieber.
Thank you, Kevin. I had the opportunity to sit on some of those Danger Report sessions as well, and it is important, so hopefully you will take advantage of that. As he was talking about it, I was thinking, as us in organized real estate, that's like, and you picture a battlefield, and that is one of our flanks, certainly is the technology and the changes in technology and all the websites and everything that's going on there, and mergers, and then our other flank, though, would be the government, and that would be the legislative issues that are changing. And so that's what I'm going to have an opportunity to talk about. I was reminded of a cute story. A pastor at a church wanted an entertainer to come in and do a skit for the church, and so he did, and they said, well, we can't afford to pay you, but would you come and do it anyways? He said, sure. So he comes out to the church and he gives his presentation. Everybody loved it, and of course the pastor said, we're not going to miss an opportunity. So he passes the basket down the aisles, and when it comes in front of the entertainer, he put in $25. And it came around, and the pastor then looked at it and he saw $25, and he took it out, and he goes up to the entertainer and he says, you know what, we really weren't planning on paying you, but here's an extra $25 and I'd like for you to have it. So anyways, on the way home, the entertainer had his daughter in the car, and she witnessed the whole thing, and he said, Dad, I'm going to try and cut it short, but Dad, you put the money in and then they give it back to you, and she says, well, Dad, do you realize if you would have given more, you would have got more? So this is my pitch to get involved in both the legislative and also at the board, because you have opportunities, as we did this last week, to go to Washington, D.C., to meet with our congresswomen and men, to hear the top speakers in the world, the best economists in the country, and so I want to encourage everybody to get involved. And kind of keep an eye on the time for me. So in Sacramento, Joel Singer, who is the CEO of CAR, I hate all these acronyms, but he's the top person at the California Association of Realtors. Very sharp. He does a luncheon every year. It costs $75 to go hear his luncheon. And he talked about the lack of inventory. And chances are when people come up to you and say, how's the market? Probably the last year or so, one of the first things out of your mouth has been, There's nothing to sell. We have a shortage of inventory. So then when we went back to, well, and then Joel Singer, he kind of couched it in, where will our children live? And then at the end he brought it back and says, where will we live? Okay, and he threw out statistics where we have been, the last year, our building was up, but it was still about 60% of where it should have been. Over the last 8 years, if you draw a line for the population growth and the average infill and what we need to produce and where we're at, over the last 8 years, we're short 1 million housing units. And we're seeing that, and we're seeing the local governments fight it. We're seeing issues with mortgages, lenders not financing new construction. And a new issue that's come up is a lot of the labor has gone out and found work in other areas because when the housing market tanked, so a lot of those people got into other things, and now they're having trouble finding the labor to build. So we've got a lot of issues there. But then when we went back to Washington, D.C., we heard from Lawrence Yun, who you know is the NAR economist, and he brought in, and again I thought it was timely, but the head economist for the Home Builders Association of America. I didn't have the acronym right, but that was his title. And so he talked about all these issues. Very important to us all, and we're going to have to spend some time, some effort, some resources in that area. One of the things at the local level is AB 1335, and this was a rather unpopular one. It's sponsored by Atkins, who's the Speaker of the Assembly, and it's for affordable housing, but affordable housing to you and I probably means being able to get the teacher into a house in Temple City because that's where she teaches, or helping the firemen in Alhambra get a home in Alhambra. Those types of affordable housing issues. Affordable housing in Sacramento tends to mean homeless. And we look at homelessness as a greater problem, a social problem, not a real estate problem, not a problem that we should alone bear. So Atkins decided to put a $75 document transfer tax on everything that's recorded. So when you record your title, it would get $75 per page up to 3 pages. Now, through long negotiations with Atkins and our lobbyist, Alex Creel up in Sacramento, we struck what we felt was the best deal, and now that bill is moving forward. What included in that best deal and the compromise was it won't just be that transfer document tax. It will also be some general funds from the state of California's budget. It will also be some cap and trade funds, and we also carved out sales. So when you purchase a house or sell a house, you won't have to pay this fee. Unfortunately, when you refi it, you will. When you move it out of your trust, you will. When you move it back into the trust, you will. When somebody passes away, you will. So it was something that we debated. In fact, we debated it an hour and 40 minutes on the floor in the board at the directors meeting. It was not something we were thrilled at all about, but we felt it was the best deal that we could get, and we did not want to be so extremely confrontational with the speaker that it would damage our relationship. That was AB 1335, so you're going to be hearing more about that. Probably the largest issue in California is SB 8. And SB 8 is a tax on service. I think the best illustration is when you take your car to the mechanic and the bill comes to $100, well, that's because I drive an American car. But let's say you drive one of these fancy cars and your bill's $500. Anyways, $100 is parts, and so that gets a sales tax. $400 is service, so that doesn't get taxed. So now what they want to do is they want to tax the service. Okay? It would be devastating. It would be devastating to our industry, and it would really affect those people trying to buy a home for the first time, particularly. So, of those that would be affected, you would start with your broker's commissions on both sides, would be taxed. Title insurance would be taxed. Escrow would be taxed. Your home inspector, your pest control, the person doing your repairs, and your disclosures. So all these services would then be taxed as part of the transaction. These aren't expenses that you can then lump into the loan, so these are going to be upfront. CAR estimates that it'll be over $5,000 per transaction that this tax would cost the buyer, which frankly, we've all seen how tight buyers are, and they're looking at having reserves and bank accounts and things like that, and if you take another $5,000 out of their pocket, put into the transaction, it's gonna really affect the affordability. While I'm talking about affordability, Joel gave the number, our affordability index in California is down to 31%. And then he gave a number that I had not heard before, but that was rental affordability. And that's at 48%. Wow, you mean only 48% of California households can afford to rent? I mean, obviously more are, but there's a lot that are living with family members. Maybe they have a low, below market lease, or it could be a number of things, but that was a new stat that I hadn't heard before. Okay, back on track with the hot issues, the Ellis Act. Ellis Act has to do with rent control and all that. We fought that years ago, and what the legislature is trying to do now is they're trying to pass it in San Francisco. So it's the camel's nose under the tent. They pass it in one jurisdiction, and then Los Angeles and Santa Monica say, well, that was a good idea, let's us pass it. It's easier to pass because the assemblyman from San Francisco can go around and say, hey, this isn't going to affect you, you know, and you know, remember when I voted for your bill last year, I need your help on this one. So it helps him in San Francisco, but eventually we all pay for it, and it affects us all. Partial tax notification was another issue. And what this has to do with is they notify you if there's going to be a parcel tax. But if you own rental units in Alhambra, and Alhambra is going to pass a parcel tax, but you live in Temple City, they're not going to notify you. And so what we're saying is that it's only fair that the property owner be notified so that they have an opportunity to prepare for it as they will, either campaign or do whatever they would like to do. So that's the parcel tax notification, and I think we have a good chance of getting that through. Then going to Washington, D.C. We've got a bit of gridlock back there. Nothing's really going to happen. We've got an election coming up. All eyes are on the election. It's going to be an exciting time in that respect, 2016. Tax reform is on everybody's mind, but not right now because of the election and the gridlock. So what they're looking at is 2017 is when we're likely to see some tax reform. The two big issues that, well, probably the two largest issues for us are the mortgage interest deduction, which has been in the code, the tax code, since as long as the tax has been. Since they've had an income tax in the early 1900s, there's been a mortgage interest deduction for your home. So we want to make sure that that stays there. The other one is a 1031 exchange. And so many people use that as a vehicle to sell a property and exchange it into another property. And if we lost that, and you had to pay capital gains on that each time, you would end up with far fewer transactions. It would really, the investment properties would grind to a halt. So those are things that we need to start laying the groundwork for now in anticipation of 2017. Financing, Fannie and Freddie, FHA, there's still a group in Washington that wants to reform those, privatize those. We've seen from our industry how little private cash there is in the mortgage industry. If we had to rely on that right now, we'd be in hot water. So we want to protect that as well. Another issue that was there that was smaller is patent trolls, and they've spent quite a bit of money fighting these 4 different brokerages. But what's going on here is, let's say you use a software on your computer, and let's say it's your website, and your website is TempleCityRealtor.com, and everything comes to you, and then I can, as a consumer, can go onto your website and then map out some listings that I'm interested in. Well, the software that's used to map that out may have a patent on it. So what these people are doing is they're going out and seeking out these patents, and then they're coming after you, with the end user, which we think is unfair, and saying, you don't have a patent for this, but for $5,000 we'll go away. So we're fighting that at NAR, and they've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars fighting that. So we'll see what happens there. Those are called patent trolls. And the last one is data breach. And you've seen it in the news with Home Depot and Anthem, where they had their computers compromised and then their information was lost. We have a lot of information in our offices. We have a lot of social security numbers. We have a lot of bank accounts. And frankly, we should try and minimize that, what we save in those respects. But if it's on your computer and your computer is compromised, then we have an obligation to notify everybody who was in our database. So we're not the target that an Anthem is, because we don't have, hundreds of thousands of users, but we still have that obligation, and we're trying to really define that obligation, of course, as narrowly as we can. Another issue that is coming up is independent contractor versus employee. And the brokers will certainly know this, but that's coming up again. They had a very good seminar on that, and different perspectives, several different attorneys in there to give their legal opinion. So if that's, and any of these issues, if you're interested in them, come up and ask me, or go onto the CAR website or go on the NAR website, and you'll find more information about all these. Joel Singer's presentation was on there, and you'll find all the charts and everything that go along with that. So without further ado, I'll bring Ian back up, and thank you for your time, and please do help us get involved. If we can't go in there and say to our congresswoman that, we've got 1 million members in NAR, that offers a lot of strength, and if we can't go and do that, we don't have near the leverage that we do. So when we ask you to donate to RPAC, and we ask you to get involved, please do. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Lee. Thank you, Susie and Kevin. We have brought you some very important information. I hope that you will go on the websites, car.org or realtor.org, to get more information. Briefly, I'd like to touch on our trip to Washington, D.C. Did somebody say something? Anyway, Gigi Lee and I, we are members of the Global Business and Alliances Advisory Board at NAR. Gigi Lee is the President's liaison to Taiwan, and I'm the NAR President's liaison to Indonesia. So we were very pleased to find out that many of the members in the advisory board recognize our association, the West San Gabriel Valley Association of Realtors, as being the forefront innovative association in our Global Business Council activities. As you know, we are only 5 years old, but our association has won 3 platinum awards, which is the top award for a Global Business Council, and 1 Ambassador Association of the Year award. So we were very happy and pleased to find that many of the other associations recognize us, being from West San Gabriel Valley Association of Realtors, and they commended us and wanted to see what we're doing to achieve all these levels of awards. So I'd like to share with you that you should be proud of our Global Business Council locally here. And on that note, could you